Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and happy Monday. It is me, it is Mr. Watkins, and I've got my nice warm hat on, got my nice warm beard on, and I have one of my favorite Christmas sweatshirts, the Charlie Brown Christmas sweatshirt, if you can see that. It'll probably be coming out again in the next weeks here before Christmas, but this is my first time wearing it, so I'm pretty excited. This week, what we are going to be doing is we're going to be kind of finalizing some stuff with the rock cycle. And we've talked about the rock cycle. We've talked about how the rocks turn into each other. We've talked about the different types of rocks and how they form, but we don't necessarily have a great diagram that you guys can see in front of you and understand how that works in those processes. And so that's what we're going to be doing here today, is filling out this page on page 18 in your packet. And again, remember, I gave you guys the choice before. You could, number one, if you didn't have a packet that I gave you, you could, number one, pick it up from school. That's your best choice. Get the packet so you can know what page we're on. Number two, you could print it out, but again, you're printing 60 pages. So talk to your parents before you print 60 pages. I feel like I should even call my mom before I print 60 pages. Or number three, you can work online, but again, you need to make sure that you have access to that. So we're looking at page 18 in the packet. That's our rock cycle notes. And so I'm going to fill that out with you guys today and show you guys how to use that and what it means. And then you guys are going to practice it on page 19. And then you're going to take a picture of your completed page 19 and submit that to Google Classroom. And that's it for Monday. So I hope you guys are learning with me here. I'm going to open up my smartboard. One thing that I do want to know as you guys are looking at this with me, so this is again page 18. For some reason, the formatting got messed up when we changed this into our packet. And so all these little dashed lines in between these boxes, okay, right here, notice what I did with them. I turned them into arrows. I want you to do that right now. So make sure that you have your page 18 in front of you. Take a pen or a pencil and turn these dashed lines into arrows, and they should be going in a clockwise direction, okay, just like this. All right, so we gave you magma, all right, because magma, if you have this, then you can pretty much figure out the rest of this. And again, it could be a few different things, but if I'm going from magma, there's only one arrow that's moving away from magma. And so when I'm thinking about this, that means that magma can only turn into one thing. And so magma, I know, can only turn into igneous rock. So go ahead and write that in, igneous rock. So now igneous rock, and remember, this could cool above the ground, it could cool below the ground, takes different times, had different things happen with crystals, right? You guys talked about these in your acrostic poems. But now that we have igneous rock here, okay? Igneous rock can turn into a couple of different things, okay? Notice these couple arrows going away, but we're going to have igneous rock for right now turn into sediment. How would that happen? What is sediment? Sediment's little pieces of rock. So that means something must have happened to that igneous rock. But we'll keep going here. So we've got sediment. Sediment only has one arrow moving away from it. So that means when we have these little pieces of rocks, that means they can only turn into one type of rock. Sediment can only turn into sedimentary rock. Okay. And again, that's where we're thinking about oceans and lakes, rivers, bringing all that rock, dumping it at the bottom, and eventually it hardening into layers of rock. And so now we've got that sedimentary rock, which means the only thing we have left is our metamorphic rock, which can only form deep underneath the ground. So there's our cycle. Let's label these arrows now. Okay. So we're going to put some numbers by the arrows. So number one is going to represent the processes of weathering, erosion, and deposition. So breaking down, moving, and then settling in a new spot to form sediment. Okay, so number one is how we form sediment. Number two is compaction and cementation. And so we take all those little pieces, they get compacted and cemented together at the bottom of the ocean, and we call these things together lithification. That's a big word, I know, lithification. So two is going to represent lithification. Three, metamorphism. Again, mostly meaning heat and pressure. Heat and pressure form metamorphic rock. So three is going to be heat and pressure in metamorphism. Four is the process of melting, turning into magma. And five is the process of that magma or lava cooling to form igneous rock. And we've got a fancy name for cooling. We either call it solidification or crystallization, or both of those things, right? Because the liquid becomes solid, solidification. So let's take a look here. Magma turning into igneous rock. That would be number 5. So I'm going to put a 5 right here. That's a 6. So we'll slide that 5 right here. So that's a number 5 arrow. Igneous rock turning into sediment. Weathering and erosion is how sediment forms. So this must be a 1. So I'll go ahead and do that. Sediment turning into sedimentary rock is compaction and cementation. Compacting and cementing together. So that's going to be a 2. Sedimentary rock turning into metamorphic rock. That has to take heat and pressure. So that's metamorphism. So that's a number 3. And metamorphic rock turning into magma. Magma, in order for anything to turn to magma, it has to melt. So melting is number 4. So I'll put a 4 right here. And then we need to label those arrows inside. So igneous rock turning into magma, that just means it melted. So that's going to be a 4 as well. Any arrow pointing toward magma is always going to be a 4. It's always going to be melting, right? That's still going to be a 4. It's always going to be melting. Any arrow pointing at metamorphic rock is going to be heat and pressure, which means that's going to be, in our situation, a 3 right here. Anything breaking into sediment is always going to be weathering and erosion. So that's my number 1. So metamorphic rock breaking into sediment is weathering and erosion. Sedimentary rock breaking back into sediment is weathering and erosion. So all the arrows pointing at number 1, or pointing at sediment, should be a number 1. So now I've got my diagram. That's kind of our basic, that's our basic thing that we need to know. How these things turn into each other. What do these arrows mean? Okay. And then just what can turn into what. So that's what we're going to study. That's what we're going to practice here today. And that's what we need to learn. So if you guys have questions on that, please let me know. Your job then right now is actually to go to page 19. And this diagram looks a little bit different, but it's pretty much the same thing. And so you're going to practice your knowledge here. So just to give you a clue, magma right here is turning into igneous rock. So what does it take for magma to turn into igneous rock? So you got to figure it out, go back to your diagram and figure out what it takes for magma to turn to igneous rocks. One of these things is our best clue. And so we're going to give that a number 1. And then we'll go to igneous to magma. And so that's our little check-in that you're going to submit today. Okay, like I said, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, please reach out. I would love to talk to you about it. I'd love to help you through it. If not, have an awesome, awesome day. And yeah, I hope you guys learned something. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.